Welcome to Sense and Nonsense A to Z, where we pick topics based off of the letter of the day. Today is episode 24 of season 1, featuring the letter X.
We're family and we're your hosts, AT and Z. So let's get started. We'll begin with saying Xin Chào.
Xin chào?
Xin Chào.
Xin chào.
Vietnamese for hello.
All right.
So X is a challenging letter.
Mm-hmm.
I actually pulled out my old Webster's dictionary, my old Webster's collegiate dictionary.
Oh, fancy.
1,355 pages
Oh, my goodness.
for the letter X. It's
Uh-huh.
a page and a quarter.
Oh,
A
no.
page and a quarter. It's like, because I was going through, different words and I was writing them down just to get some ideas of what to do for today. And I'm like, okay, am I missing any words here?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And it's funny because X is a very popular letter in the Greek alphabet. In the Greek language, you use a lot of X.
Mm-hmm.
Like Xenos is foreigner.
Mm-hmm.
Xanthi is blonde or yellow, that
Mhm,
sort of thing.
mhm.
Xylo is wood. Xiphos, we have a whole bunch of words with the letter X.
Mhm.
And it's funny because that is the root of a lot of the English words.
It is. And when I was looking at my words for pick an X,
Yeah.
I was coming up with a lot of those root words.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Xeno, as a matter of fact, Xeno is the root of the word that I picked.
There you go. See?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because there's a lot of words that went with X-ray. It's like, I guess I had to fill part of the page because they did X-ray this, X-ray that, X-ray this. It's like, those are two different words. Why you want to, So anyway, we have a couple of stories in sports.
Okay.
The USFL just finished up their season and their championship game was on July 3rd. The Birmingham Stallions beat the Philadelphia Star 33-30. So there's only 8 teams and the Jersey Generals is one of the teams. They didn't make it, obviously. Another thing that's been in the news, letter X, is the XFL. Do you remember them?
Yeah, I do.
It was started by Vince McMahon way back when, I think it was 2001.
Mm-hmm. Is that still going on?
It went into bankruptcy and Dwayne Johnson and his ex-wife, Danny Garcia, purchased it out of bankruptcy. So they kind of refounded it in 2018. The first season was 2020, but it had some COVID interruptions.
Oh.
The next season is going to start on February 18, 2023.
Oh.
Yeah. So again, another league that has 8 teams. And the one local to me is the New York Guardians, and they play in East Rutherford. So that's the XFL.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we had another kind of sporting event over the holiday.
Oh, yes.
Nathan's hot dog eating contest.
I saw.
In Coney Island.
Oh,
Joey Chestnut.
Joey Chestnut, his
15th
disgusting.
win. 63 hot dogs in 10 minutes.
Ugh.
And he eats 2 at a time.
It's
you know?
they just like shove it down their throat.
I know. He
so
wets them.
nasty.
I know. He wets the bread. Ugh. I know. But something very interesting happened. I don't know. Did you hear about this? A 21-year-old protester jumped on stage. And it was
Really?
obvious he was a younger kid. And he wore this tiny Darth Vader mask. It didn't even cover his whole face. And I'm like, if you're going to wear a Darth Vader mask, put the darn thing on.
Make it a big Darth Vader thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He was holding up a sign that said, "Expose Smithfield's Death Star" on his sign. So he was an animal activist.
Oh.
He jumps in front of Joey Chestnut. And he's got the hot dogs in his mouth. He's got them in his hand, and he takes them down and does by the neck. He does a headlock until the security guys could come get him.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah.
While he was eating? Or
oh yeah. His mouth is so full, and he's got him by a headlock. Oh yeah. And he's got the hot dogs in his hands.
He still won.
Oh yeah. He said it only took about 4 seconds to take this kid down. And then he felt bad about it. It's like, don't feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Take your thunder away,
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway,
Doesn't he fly in from like Indiana or Illinois or something like that? He's
I
not
don't
from New
know.
York.
No, I think he's originally from Kentucky. He's like 38 years old now.
Oh,
Yeah, and he's won it 15 times.
oh my goodness.
I
And
know.
there's
Wow.
a lady who won too, and she won like
Yes.
8 times or something like that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I
Ugh.
know. It's crazy, isn't it?
It's so gross. I'm
I
sorry.
know.
It's so, I can't even handle it. I can't even handle the little clip on the news. Like
It's so
when they
funny.
show
It's
it,
so
I'm just
funny.
like, I'm like covering my eyes. I don't want to see it. It looks
like
so
you're like,
nasty. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
it's so gross.
I got one more thing going on. The Summer X Games will begin on Wednesday, July 20th, and will run to July 24th.
Mm.
It's featuring 18 disciplines across 3 sports: skateboarding, BMX, and motocross. Located in Southern Cal. It'll be covered by ESPN.
Yeah.
And just like in 2021, there's not any spectators, so it's not open to the public. So what's going on with you?
Did Turkey Fest at my friend's on Saturday. Yeah.
Okay.
It was delish.
What kind of turkey did they do?
They always grill it. And this year was Mexican spices and stuffed with limes in the cavity. It was so good.
Well, it had to be juicy if you do that.
Oh man, it was so good. It was really, I think that was the best one yet. And then
do they pre-cook it and then do it on a grill, or they do the whole thing on a grill?
The whole thing goes on the grill.
Wow.
Yeah. It's really good. And a whole host of Thanksgiving themed sides and potato salad, jello shots, and ice cream, stuff like that. It's really yummy.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that was this weekend, and
nice.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
Good. As we've been mentioning throughout the whole episode, X is not easy. So I had to be really creative to come up with the questions for you here.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, so hopefully these aren't too lame. All right. Here's our questions. When was your last X-ray?
Oh, a very, very long time ago.
Oh, okay.
I probably was in middle or high school.
That long ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mine was just a couple of weeks ago because I had oral surgery done.
Oh.
They did a panoramic X-ray, the wildest thing I've ever seen. It's like one X-ray with all your teeth on the one X-ray, long and skinny. Yeah, it's crazy.
I guess you're right. I guess I have had a dental X-ray.
Yeah. So how long ago was that?
Some years.
Some years.
Yeah. I probably don't remember it because they always give me a pill when I go to the dentist.
Do they really?
Yeah, because I have a super sensitive mouth. So I'm like, they gave me this pill, like kind of like Xanax. That's just like, you're fine. Everything's fine. You're awake, but you don't care about nothing.
See, I don't even take Novocaine most of the time.
I don't have Novocaine. I have that pill. I have that. Everything's fine. I don't care that you're doing that to my mouth. That kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next question.
Okay.
Do you sign cards with X's and O's?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
And it's funny, every time I hear X's and O's, I think of that El King
song.
Yeah. I love that song.
I do too.
Yeah. Okay. Next is, what do you think about Sirius XM?
I think it's overrated.
Do you really?
Yeah. When they have it for free and I listen to it, I'm eh. I mean, I know I'm only getting a select number of channels. I'm not getting the whole business, but I'm just like, the radio is just as, the free radio is just as good.
Yeah.
And I have, digital content and CDs and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm good with it,
Well, it helps us because of travel kind of thing. And I like Classic Rewind. That's probably my favorite station on Sirius. But, it's good to listen to Howard sometimes too, for that matter. Yeah.
I could just YouTube him if I want to watch him.
True.
Yeah.
True. Okay. Do you use Xmas as a term?
Rarely.
Rarely. I never do. Yeah, it's like almost sacrilegious, to use that.
I mean, maybe in a text.
That's a different story. I gotta agree with you.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? No. No,
I
I think
mean,
if I text somebody, it's going to say Christmas. Yeah.
well, if I'm using it as some kind of a greeting,
Mhm.
but if it's in like maybe conversational, like have you sent your Christmas cards yet? It
Right.
might it
Right.
might go Xmas. I don't know. I don't really use it very
Yeah,
much.
I kind of don't like using it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next question. What is your X factor?
Please explain what you mean by that.
Your special something.
My superpower?
Your special superpower. You know, like Gus on Psych.
Super sniffer.
He had a super sniffer. That was his X factor.
You know, I don't know if I have a superpower. I don't know. I don't know if I have that one thing, you know? What's yours?
Creativity. I think that's my forte. Being creative.
I don't know.
We'll come around.
Yeah, we'll have to come back.
I'll put
to
a star on that so we can come
Okay.
around. Okay. Because I knew that was going to be a thinker. All right.
That's a thinker.
Okay, this one's easy. Xena Warrior Princess.
Yes.
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 She was awesome.
Yes, she was.
Yeah. Lucy Lawless. I love that.
Yeah.
All righty. Last time you used a Xerox machine?
A Xerox machine or just made a copy?
No. Xerox, letter X.
I would say probably 14 or 15 years ago.
When you worked at an office?
Yes.
My office has one. So I've used one recently. Yeah.
Yeah.
All righty. How many seasons of X-Files did you watch?
All of them.
You did too.
Yeah.
I kind of tapered off at the end for some reason. I'm not sure why, but I kind of caught up after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was 11 seasons, by the way.
Yeah,
X-Files.
it was a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I've got a lame one. You ready?
Yep.
X equals what? X equals
Y squared.
There you go. That's correct. A plus B, pi r square.
I don't know. I freaking hate algebra.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah. I was not a math person. I was more of an English literature.
I was on the math side.
Yeah.
Okay. This is question number 10, but I do have a bonus one. So,
okay.
Did Kiss put the X in sex?
No, they didn't. If anything, they kind of took it out because after watching that video, I did not want anything to do with it.
And we talked about that video when we were talking about Kiss. I know.
No.
Okay. Are you ready for the bonus question?
I am.
Are X chromosomes more important than Y?
Well, I think they're probably equally important.
You think?
Yeah, because we need both of them to be able to propagate the species. The X chromosome should come with a little tiara, though.
So those are the questions. I know a couple of them are lame, but what are you going to do? We got X.
Yeah, you got to get X in there somehow.
See, I'm telling you, that's my X factor. It's creativity.
Yes, exactly. Make it work.
Yeah. I did come up with a sense or nonsense game for us for the letter X.
All right. Good job, AT.
Xylophone.
Okay.
By the way, it is the root of the word is from xylo, which is wood, and phony, which is voice or sound.
Uh-huh.
All right. So there you go. There you go. That's how they came up with xylophone. Okay. First question, sense or nonsense? The xylophone keys are arranged similar to a piano.
Sense.
Yes. Just like the piano, as you go from left to right, goes from the lower range to the higher range. The keys are longer for the lower range and shorter for the higher range. Yeah. Sense or nonsense? Typically, a professional xylophone has 88 keys, just like the piano.
Sure, why not? Sense.
It would be huge if that was the case.
I know.
They're big. Yeah. Usually in concert halls, they have 48 keys,
40
or 48 bars, right? 4 octaves, 28 regular notes, and 20 sharper flats. Yeah. Okay, last sense or nonsense. The first known xylophone keys were made out of animal bones.
Oh, sense. No?
Actually, nobody knows for sure, because the origins of a xylophone are still unknown to this day.
Really?
But the first documented xylophone was made out of wood.
Huh.
So yeah, wood bars were originally placed on players' laps, and then they were mounted to gourds. That's how it all started. And now xylophones are either from wood or metal, and the bases consist of either wood, metal, or fiberglass type of material. Real professional ones, they're made out of rosewood and they're really pretty, very beautiful. So it's suggested that xylophones began in Southeast Asia and were brought to Africa around 500 AD, although temple sculptures depicted musicians playing similar instruments like a xylophone, which would date back to 2000 BC.
Wow.
I know, that's incredible, right?
Yeah.
So let's see. The uses of xylophones included maintaining the well-being of gardens and crops, and also to keep animals away. And more elaborate xylophones that are used in orchestras have these bars underneath of them. They're called resonators that make the sound last longer. You know, yeah. So you'll see not only you have the keys up top or the bars up top, but you have these like cones underneath, or tubes. Pretty much they're tubes. But that's xylophone. That's all I got. I'm sorry.
Wow. That's all right.
I know. So anyway, it's xylophone.
Okay.
I mean, it was hard to get a subject, it really was on this one.
I don't know what we're going to do for season 2.
I don't know.
You're going to have to put your X Factor to work.
Yeah, there you go. You're right. I know you've only had a couple minutes to think about this, but have you come up with what your X Factor is?
No.
Okay. So I'm thinking it might be your memory, because you have a very good memory.
My memory is getting a lot better. When I was younger, before I had my son, my memory was awesome.
Yeah.
Like seriously, really good.
Yeah. Mine used to be excellent until about 10 years ago. Now it's just going downhill. What can I tell you?
Well, mine took a big hit when I had my son, but I feel like it is coming back. And I mean, I guess it takes a while, but I used to remember stuff like watching a movie, and now I have to work a little bit more at it. Part of that's age, and I guess part of that is from having my kid. Like I told you, I had a hard time doing math after I had my son. I couldn't do math anymore. So
it drains your brain.
It does. He took a lot out of me, this one. So it may be memory, but I think also my adaptability. Things change all the time with the little guy. So I don't know. I guess maybe that's my superpower.
Your superpower, your X Factor.
I make it work.
Yeah.
All right, I have my pick an X.
Ooh, okay. I'm ready.
Xenodokial.
Okay.
It means hospitable or kindly to strangers.
Right.
And I think more people need to be xenodokial.
And the root of that is
Xeno.
Xenos. Yep. It's Xenos, a foreigner or an outsider.
Right?
Yes.
Strangers.
Yes.
I saw that and I'm like, oh, I love this word. I want to be this word, and I want more people to be this word. So I think we should be bringing it back. Xenodokial.
There you go.
Plus, it sounds like you're saying a foreign word, so you sound smarter.
It sounds Greek.
It does.
It does. Well, it comes the root of the word. Here's Ghostbuster Carlos again. I know.
So yeah, so I like that. I liked that one.
Good word.
For my favorite X movie, I have chosen X-Men.
What else, right?
I mean, if I didn't pick X-Men, it would have been really weird, right?
I know.
We know that X-Men are part of Marvel, along
Mhm.
with Spider-Man, Thor, and Iron Man, most
Right.
notably played by Robert Downey Jr.
There it is.
But they are not typically part of the MCU.
Mhm.
The Marvel universe has been fractured for a while. And I talked a little bit about this during when I did Ryan Reynolds, saying that Deadpool was more on the X-Men side than the Avengers side. Well, in Deadpool 3, he will be joining the MCU, and that sort of drags the X-Men a bit closer over there. And it does have people wondering if the X-Men will be making the leap, since in Venom, Let There Be Carnage, this last Venom, which was also not previously part of the MCU, is now in via the post-credit scene. In addition, I just saw that Charles Xavier is featured in one of the alternate realities in the new Doctor Strange movie that deals with the multiverse. So they may be mushing them together. And I kind of am not thrilled about it. I like the X-Men being in a different universe. I like the uniqueness of that world and the idea of them being born out of humanity's evolution rather than somehow being made, which is typically how the superheroes in the MCU have come into being. And now, I love Avengers. It's not out of lack of love that I say this. I can appreciate this other aspect of the superhero and can identify with the kind of misfit aspect and the social commentary of the X-Men world, because there's a lot of that goes on in X-Men. I also kind of liked that the characters weren't all squeaky clean. Like Iron Man's got a lot of snark to him. Wolverine is kind of abrasive in the beginning, especially. He's used to being alone. He doesn't have a lot of memories. He's defensive all the time. So I like that. The characters were really complex. And one of my favorite characters of X-Men is Logan, or the Wolverine, played by Hugh Jackman.
Me too.
He doesn't play well with others, and that makes it even more gratifying when Charles Xavier is able to win him over and gain his trust. It's also why it hurts so much when he opens his heart to Jean, knowing that his love will never be reciprocated in the way he wants. So we're going to talk about X-Men, and I'm talking about the original X-Men, the year 2000, with Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart.
Right.
This is the one that started it, and they were one of the first really that made the leap from the comic book into the live action movie. So I think they went a little more gently than they would have liked to, because in X2 they went a lot further after having the support of the success from the first one. They did things like, they dressed them all in black instead of having their multicolored spandex and everything, and they kind of poke fun at that a little bit. Wolverine's like, you actually go out in these things. Cyclops is like, what would you prefer, yellow spandex? Just kind of making a little doot at that. But they said that it was really tough to be a superhero in those outfits because the leather was so stiff that they could barely move, so they didn't really feel superhero-y at all. But they did maintain lots of little details of their characters, and I think the fans did really appreciate it, especially Wolverine's gruff exterior and the rivalry between him and Cyclops, or Scott Summers, played by James Marsden.
Right.
Famke Janssen was Jean Grey, and she was really well cast. And of course, Patrick Stewart was Charles Xavier, and that was the most perfect casting. When he was offered the role, Patrick Stewart hadn't heard of X-Men. He thought it was related to the X-Files. So he didn't know. And the studio shipped him a crate of comics, and he looked at it. He's like, why am I on the front of the comic books? Like, that's how well cast he is. He's perfect. So he had said that it was the most fun research he's ever had to do. And he was Bryan Singer's only choice for Professor X. And then we also have Ian McKellen as Eric Lencher, or Magneto, and he was perfection as well. And in 2013, Hugh Jackman said that Wolverine was his favorite role and that he was eternally fascinating. He was incredibly human and a great sort of anti-hero and a tragic figure. And I remember ages ago, he had said, as long as people want to keep seeing this character, I'll keep playing him.
That's cool.
Yeah. So he really liked it. So I guess we should sort of get to the plot of the movie here. Did you ever, have you seen X-Men?
The original? Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. So in this movie, mutants are on the verge of having to register themselves and their powers to make humans feel more comfortable. And this concept is appalling to Eric Lenscher, or Magneto. He sees this as one giant step towards the ethnic cleansing he and his family experienced when he was a child, having been assigned a number in a concentration camp. He then hatches a plot to force humanity's political leaders into mutant evolution, thereby getting them on the side of mutants. He builds a machine to do just that, but this machine requires him, a mutant, to run it, and it will kill him. So he kidnaps a young mutant named Rogue, who has the ability to absorb the life force of anyone she touches. And in humans, this usually results in a coma or death. And in mutants, she takes on their powers for a time. The longer she holds on, the more dramatic result. As an example, she goes into Logan's room because he's having a nightmare and she tries to wake him up from it. And he accidentally stabs her in the lungs with his claws. And she touches his face and she absorbs his healing capabilities and it heals everything up. But she does put him out for a while because of it. So there's a little foreshadowing there. Professor X, Wolverine, and the X-Men spend their time trying to uncover and thwart this plot while also educating the next generation of mutants and teaching them to harness their powers at Xavier's School for Gifted Children in upstate New York. So the whole time we're kind of under the impression that Magneto wants Wolverine, but that's not actually the case. He actually wants Rogue, but it takes them a while to figure this out. So they have a hard time foiling this plot, but they do in the end, and Eric winds up in prison. Eric and Charles Xavier have been friends since they were young, and they were allies for a long time. Their friendship has diverged, but even still, even though they're on opposite sides of how to get humanity to accept mutants, they still have a tremendous amount of respect for one another. And after Eric goes to prison, he's in this plastic prison because he can control metal, so he can't be in a regular jail.
Right.
Charles Xavier still goes and hangs out with him and plays chess with him because he won't give up on his friend. He won't give up that hope that he can still somehow repair their friendship and be on the same side and move toward humanity and mutants living together in a kind of peace. And I have always found that to be so inspiring, that he has never let go of that friendship, even though he does not agree with Eric. And Eric is basically saying to him, you know, I'm not going to be in here forever. And when I get out, I'm going to keep working on doing what I'm doing to further the cause of the Brotherhood of Mutants. And Charles is like, yeah, go ahead, and I'll still be there to stop you. You know, and I just have always found that relationship to be so interesting, because they do have that tremendous respect for one another, yet they oppose each other quite strongly.
Right.
So there's a lot going on in this movie. I mean, there's the love triangles, there's a lot of that aspect of not fitting in anywhere and feeling like you don't belong no matter what, because you're, you know, you're so different. Yeah. So I've always liked this comic. I grew up with this comic. I've always liked it. And I remember when they announced that they were going to do this, we were very, very worried about who was going to play Wolverine more than anybody else. And when Hugh Jackman was cast, we had never heard of him. We didn't know who he was. And he was cast late, so he didn't have any prep time for this movie, really. And I went to go see it in the theater. A bunch of my friends and I went. And the first scene that we really see him, he's fighting in a cage. And like an MMA type style cage up in Canada. And you don't really see him. You just see his back. The way the camera pans around, it's very dramatic. It's very dramatic. And you're anticipating it highly because you know it's him in there.
Oh, of course.
And he turns around and it's just like the way he moves and everything. Like, you're like, oh, this was a good casting situation here. before he even started.
So he didn't have much time to prepare for that?
No, that's why if you watch that film, he actually gets bigger during the film.
Because he was built, boy.
He was, yeah, but he didn't have much time to prep. So he actually kept working out throughout the film and got bigger and bigger because, yeah, he was cast late.
Yeah.
They had already like started everything. So
again, perfect casting. Perfect.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And I love Patrick Stewart. Yeah. He's one of my favorites. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. I think if you are any kind of nerd or if you're into sci-fi in any way, right, even if you're not like a Trekkie, you appreciate Patrick Stewart. Yeah. He's undeniable. He's so good. Yeah. And so he does make an appearance. I watched Doctor Strange and he does make an appearance, and the movie, I have mixed feelings about the movie itself, but I'm so happy when he arrives. When you see him come in, it's like, you know, there's just joy that he's alive and well in a universe, you know? Right. So that's basically all I have to say about the X-Men. I mean, I could talk about it for ages, but
I'm sure. And Halle Berry looked awesome.
She did rock the white wig pretty well.
She did.
You know, and I also love Famke Jensen. I mean, she was perfectly cast as Jean Grey as well. This is a foundation movie. As they branch out and they go, they kind of settle into their characters more. I think they were really conservative with this movie because, like I said, it was one of the first that was making the leap at that time. They didn't really know how it was going to be received. So they were really conservative. And then as they go on, they start to branch out into their characters more and take more liberties than they did. I think they didn't want to change too much too quickly. You know, I think people were really concerned about that. So, yeah, it was really cool. It was
no need for concern. There was definitely an opportunity there for that type of, you
know, it was. And I think that it did become a successful franchise. And of course they did. They went on to do like X-Men First Class when you see them when they're younger and all that stuff.
Et cetera. Yeah.
So, I mean, it did spawn a lot of other movies, and I'll save them. So when we come around and we do X again, I'll have more movies.
There you go.
To do for X. Because it's not an easy letter.
Oh man, I know.
X-Men. Woohoo.
There's one of the younger golfers in the PGA that's slowly becoming one of my favorites, and he's letter X. His name is Xander with an X, Xander, and his last name is Schauffele.
Okay.
Schauffele. And his name comes in a couple minutes, so just bear with me. He was born Alexander Victor Schauffele. Funny, his birthday is the same as my hubby, October 25th, 1993. He's 28 years old, from San Diego, California. His dad's from Germany, and his mom is from Taiwan. And he comes from a long line of athletes. His father has been his only swing coach throughout his whole career. I thought that was awesome, you know? So he plays on the PGA. He's won 6 tournaments since going pro in 2015. His first win was in July of 2017 at the Greenbrier Classic. Then he won the Rookie of the Year in 2017. He's also had a win in the European Open. He won the Olympic gold medal in the 2020 Summer Olympics for the men's individual golf.
Nice.
And then this year, 2 tournaments so far. In April, he won a team tournament in the Zurich Classic in New Orleans. And he had a playing partner. His name is Patrick Cantlay. He's been pretty good too. Then just a couple weeks ago, June 26th, he won the Travelers Championship.
Yeah.
I found a cute little YouTube video that Callaway Golf did of him because everybody mispronounces his name. So it's been pronounced, and it's him talking. And he says, yeah, everybody mispronounces my name. I've heard souffle, of which we've called him souffle. Me and hubby was like, hey, souffle's on, you know. Shuffle. Schauffele.
Oh,
And then if it's not his last name, it's his first name. They've pronounced it Xander,
really?
Xavier.
Oh
Yeah,
my
they can't
goodness.
get it right.
Xander's pretty easy.
Yeah, you would think, right?
Yeah.
And then he goes to the camera and he says, and my name is Xander Schauffele. And it's like, no, it's not. Bleep. So even after he's explaining, even he mispronounced his name. I thought that was hysterical. So anyway, he's been doing very well. But something has been in the news regarding golf.
Okay.
There's that new league. It's called LIV, or they're calling it LIV. It's the LIV Golf League. It's a professional tour that's been financed from the Public Investment Fund, the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Saudi Arabia.
Uh-oh.
So they put it together, and the CEO is Greg Norman. The actual name, LIV, when I first saw it, I said, is that representative of the Roman numeral, 54? And it's like, yep, that's exactly what it is. But the reason they picked that is there's two reasons. On a regular 72 par course, if you get a birdie on every hole, the score is 54. But I also, with that, is they play 54 holes. So 18 holes for 3 days is 54. So I guess there's, that was pretty clever how they came up with that name.
Yeah.
So they just started this year, and some of the PGA guys played. There's a lot of money going on.
Yeah. Well, Saudi Arabia, you'd think.
Ton of money. I mean, we're talking about mega money. Phil Mickelson was one of the first to sign. He got a $200 million signing bonus.
That's ridiculous.
$200 million.
That's crazy.
Yep. And another was well over 125 mil.
Oh my goodness.
I understand that they offered Tiger Woods 9 figures.
Holy crap.
He declined.
Good for him.
Kudos to him. Absolutely. So there's no cuts with this. Everybody in the top 11 gets at least 500,000 for each tournament. Number 12 through 15 get at least 250. Even the last place guy gets 120,000 for coming in last place.
This is just a money grab.
That's exactly what it is. So it's like, it's a problem.
Yeah.
PGA is not happy about this and has pretty much suspended everybody who went. The first event was in London. That went on last month. The winner got 4.75 mil.
Holy God.
Just the other day, the second tournament was in Portland, Oregon. That winner got 4 mil.
Jeez.
Oh, and by the way, you will not see it on regular USA TV at all.
Yeah, I bet not.
Some of the guys who went over complaining that they can't come back, that sort of thing. So there's some back and forth. They're appealing, yada, yada, yada. Social media is all over these guys.
I bet. What are they complaining for? They went and got their money grab.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't play in both leagues. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. It's a separate league. You made your choice.
Exactly.
You chose money over competition and tradition.
That's
tradition, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you got to live with it. And, and I understand some people needed the money. It's funny that the people who went over are the players who haven't won in a while.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so talk about money. I mean, think about this. So there's 8 events. The last place guy gets 120 no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Do the math.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a bad paycheck for 8 events.
No, not at all.
Not at all. So there's some older golfers that have come forward and just said, hey, I know what's going on. This ain't going to last.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. My prediction,
mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to last 5 years. I saw an interview with Freddie Couples, and he said something about 2040. And I really don't think it's going to go that long. Yeah.
I don't know.
So,
depends on.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. But this is very interesting.
It'll be something to watch for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So you had mentioned Xena Warrior Princess in the 10 questions you asked me earlier.
Yes.
And I figured, hey, why not feature Xena Warrior Princess?
I loved that show.
I did too.
She was awesome. Lucy Lawless. She was just awesome.
She's fantastic.
And her friend was awesome too. I mean, they were just great.
From 1995 to 2001, Xena Warrior Princess ran, and she was born out of the Hercules series, which I watched all the time too.
Yep, me too.
So the synopsis is Xena, a mighty warrior princess with a dark past, sets out to redeem herself. She is joined by small-town bard Gabrielle, and together they journey the ancient world and fight for the greater good against ruthless warlords and gods. Now, Sam Raimi was a creator and executive producer on all 134 episodes of this, as well as Hercules. And I just mentioned him. He's the director of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Oh, okay.
So this all ties together.
It most certainly does.
By absolute coincidence. But anyway, as we said, Lucy Lawless was in the title role of Xena, and Renee O'Connor was the plucky bard sidekick. And Renee O'Connor was not in the opening credits for season 1. And at Lucy Lawless's insistence, she was included in the opening credits from season 2 onwards, which I thought was very cool.
Appropriately so.
Yes. So in season 2, Xena's ratings kind of sailed right past Hercules.
Oh, yeah.
And it stayed there for as long as both series ran.
Like I said, I loved it.
I did too. I mean, it became the #1 syndicated action show. I liked Hercules. Don't get me wrong. I really did.
Yeah.
But Xena was just special. And I don't know if it was because
girl power.
Well, it wasn't just girl power though. I mean, like Vanessa Angel, you ever heard of her? She was the original choice to play Xena, but she was sick and she couldn't fly to New Zealand. So Lucy Lawless was cast instead. And I think this was a confluence of events really, because I really cannot picture anyone else as Xena but Lucy Lawless. She just had this presence and gravitas to her that you just believed her.
Oh, yeah.
In a 2005 article in the Salon, Kathy Young says that Xena is credited by many with blazing the trail for a wave of female action heroes, including Buffy, Starbuck in Battlestar Galactica, even the bride in Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill. And Quentin Tarantino is a huge Xena fan.
Oh,
so I mean, it was a fun show. It was girl power, but it also had great characters and smart writing, good stories, and you know, it drew on not just mythology, but medieval legends, Shakespeare, all kinds of stuff. And it was girl power, but it was girl power that was practiced, not preached. You know, it wasn't like, ooh, I'm a woman, look at me, what I can do. She was Xena all the time. She didn't have a day job, you know, she wasn't like a superhero with an alter ego.
Right.
She was her all the time. She was unapologetic. She was strong and sexy and powerful and feminine
and believable.
And she was, but also she wasn't afraid to be sweaty and dirty and kicking butt. And she was more beautiful for it, you know?
Right.
There was no romantic interest all the time. And, you know, she was flawed. She could be angry and arrogant and then vulnerable and caring, you know, like a whole complicated person, like men usually get to play, you know?
Right.
I liked it because in the Xenaverse, as they call it, gender just wasn't a big deal. No one questioned her ability to fight and command, and nobody questioned Gabrielle's desire to be a warrior. You know, it wasn't an issue.
No,
it wasn't women versus men. It was good versus bad.
Evil.
Yeah. And the women on Xena, they were all rich and complex. Like Gabrielle, she has a whole series story arc. You know, she goes through lots of growth and changes, and Xena does too. And that's one of the reasons why I like to show it. It wasn't the sameness all the time. They did have these huge character arcs, and also the people that they came in contact with. You know, even the villain, her arch nemesis, had a character arc, and you know, they also were quirky and fun and mischievous, and you know, they had this complexity and depth to them that you wouldn't necessarily expect from this kind of show. You kind of expected it to be a little more campy. And it was, but it also had a depth to it,
Yeah.
and a little bit more than Hercules did. And I think that's why this show did a little bit better. But you know, they messed with the timeline a little bit. Like she was at Troy and then she was with Julius Caesar, you know.
Yeah.
And it just like that doesn't work so well. But and she was also like in the Battle of Marathon and also with Cleopatra. Like those things didn't go together.
Yeah.
Those like 1,000 years apart. But anyway, we didn't care about that. It was a hell of a lot of fun.
And your regular viewer wouldn't have picked up on that either.
No, maybe not. I mean,
You
I
know?
am a mythology nerd, so I know that kind of stuff, but people didn't really watch it for its historical significance.
No, exactly. No.
And what's also great about it is that it's got a huge fan base and it's very varied. Like I was saying, Quentin Tarantino loved it, and you had men, women, straight, gay, lawyers, stay-at-homes, Wiccans, Christians, psychologists, you know, everybody really liked it. And then this was one of the first shows that had internet buzz.
Oh,
so it was definitely in the pop culture, and Xena Warrior Princess kind of became like a synonym for a tough chick. So one of the things that I think of when I think of this is like the special effects they had, the gods and stuff, and they were hokey. They were terrible, but we forgave it.
But we didn't care.
We didn't care.
No.
And you know, at the time, especially, it wasn't, people didn't pick that kind of stuff apart.
No.
You know, I mean, in 1995, we didn't care about that.
No.
We were just happy with the story itself. And she was one of the first that we saw that could command a show, and you weren't like, oh, I don't believe you. Oh, is somebody going to get her out of trouble now? It was all down to her and Gabrielle.
She looked awesome, by the way.
She looked awesome, and she kicked ass. And they weren't painful or anything to watch. And I think sometimes you'll see a female badass, quote unquote, and she's like 90 pounds soaking wet, and she's like knocking out 280-pound dudes. Like, really?
Come on. I know.
That's not believable in any way, shape, or form, you know? And you just believed it with Lucy.
And you kept on rooting for Gabrielle because she was like the underdog.
She was, but she was in training, and she just wanted to, you know, to fight so hard. And I actually found out that she did like all her own stunts, even the flips and stuff.
Nice.
She did them. Yeah. So, you know, they had that credibility going on. The only criticism that I really have of the show, and I think you're going to disagree with me on this, but I really did not like that battle cry thing that she did. Oh my God. That I could have done without.
Well, yeah. It was a thing.
It was a thing. I mean, I get it. You know,
I did too. It didn't bother me.
I understood why they had it in there, but I was just like, oh, here we go again with that thing.
Yeah.
But I love the show, and you know, you have to pay to watch it.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding. And it really bummed me out because I was feeling all nostalgic. I was going to go back and watch some.
Right.
But I can't because you have to buy them. I have Hercules, the complete series, for some reason. I think somebody bought it for me at some point, but I don't have Xena. So it's a little sad. I know.
I mean, why is this a thing? I just don't get it when they're this old, you know?
I don't know.
I mean, this archive stuff should not be paper.
It's over 20 years old.
Yeah, seriously.
Come on, you know?
Oh,
maybe someday. Fingers crossed.
I'm just looking at pictures of her, and her costumes were just awesome.
Great.
They really were.
Yeah.
She looked good.
Yeah.
Yeah, she looked good.
She did. She was awesome.
Yeah. I have one more sports story.
Okay.
You know, I'm a big New York Met fan.
Yes.
Ever since I was a little kid.
Yes.
Still to this day. And Keith Hernandez has been one of my favorite players.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, I remember the day that hubby's cousin called me and said, your favorite first baseman just got traded to the Mets. And I'm like, oh, no. Because he was a big player for the Cardinals, you know? And I was like, oh my God, Keith Hernandez is now on the Mets. This is great. So Keith Hernandez just had his number retired on Saturday.
Really?
Yeah, it was a really, really nice ceremony. I mean, it brought back just a lot of memories for me. I've been following the Mets now for a very long time.
Yeah.
So
I thought you were going to age yourself, but you didn't.
I can. I can.
Know,
it doesn't bother
necessary.
me.
It's not necessary.
Okay. It's over 50 years, folks. So anyway, yeah, it's well over 50 years. But anyway, Keith was born on October 20th, 1953. He's now 68. And he grew up a big Mickey Mantle fan as well. I did too when I was real little, because everybody watched the Yankees in my family.
Yeah.
I mean, the Mets didn't start until 1962. So that's all we had when I was really, really little was the Yankees. So he did too. And of which he shares a birthday with Mickey.
Nice.
Yep. So when he was on the Cardinals from 74 to 83. He had to have a number 7 on his uniform. Aww. And he picked 37 because 7 was taken already. When he came to the Mets in 83, Casey Stengel had number 37 and that was retired. So he switched over to 17 and that's the number that just got retired.
That's awesome.
Yeah, just a couple of things. When he was on the Cardinals, his batting average was 299 as a total, His total batting average lifetime with the Mets was 297. He went over to the Cleveland Indians in 1990 and then retired. He was injured most of the time. You know what? He should just retire before he got traded to the Indians. But anyway, 5-time All-Star. 2-time World Series champ. He won a World Series with the Cardinals and with the Mets in 86.
Nice.
National League MVP in 1979. 11 gold gloves.
Wow.
11. 2 Silver Slugger Awards. National League batting champion in 1979, of which his batting average was 344. He's in the Cardinals Hall of Fame, in the New York Met Hall of Fame, and now his number 17 has been retired. Right now, what he does is he's a color commentator. It's Gary Cohen. He's the major announcer, and he's excellent. And then it's him as a color commentator and Ron Darling. And the trio is called Gary, Keith, and Ron. And arguably, I think they're the best in the business. And I got to think that these celebrities that watch the Mets all the time, like Hank Azaria, Jon Stewart, Chris Rock, they'll all agree with me that they love these 3 guys. I mean, you just never know what's going to come out of Keith's mouth. He's hysterical. But the other thing I wanted to mention is this is one of those things like I've been arguing about with Pat Benatar. That, what is with these Hall of Fames? Keith is not in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Look at all the accolades this guy's got. He was the first captain of the New York Mets. New York Mets have only had 2 captains.
Wow.
And he was one of them. I mean, this is a major thing, and he was never inducted. I'm surprised nobody's ever asked for some sort of special exception for him.
Why should he get an exception? Why shouldn't he just get a regular?
Well, it's beyond the 10 years. You can only be nominated for 10 years. And he just never got in. And I think it's politics. I'll be honest with you that he's not in. But
that seems silly that there's a statute of limitations on it.
Yeah. So his number 17 was retired. I think that was awesome.
All right. Well, good for him. Congratulations, Keith.
Absolutely. He joins Casey Stengel, Gil Hodges, Tom Seaver, Jerry Koosman, Mike Piazza, and every team has retired Jackie Robinson.
Yeah.
So he joins that.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a good club.
We'd like to pay our respects to James Caan, offering our condolences to his family, friends, and fans. James passed away last week at the age of 82.
What a shame.
We don't know of any physical health issues he had, but he had opened up in the past about some mental health difficulties. He was born in the Bronx in 1940 and played football at Michigan State. Then he went to Hofstra University to study acting, and he met Francis Ford Coppola there. And he was best known for his Oscar-nominated role in Coppola's The Godfather, where he played Sonny Corleone,
of course,
the eldest son, in 1972. And a couple of weeks ago, I watched The Offer. It's a 10-part series on Amazon. Did you see that?
No, I haven't seen it, but I heard about it.
I heard it's good. It was really good. It was based on Albert Ruddy's experiences making The Godfather. And it was really awesome. And it made me like Jimmy Caan even more than I did before. So if you get a chance, it's worth it. Another big role for him was Misery, opposite Kathy Bates in 1990.
Yep, that was huge.
That was really big.
Yeah.
And of course, we love him for Elf in 2003.
Of course. Yeah. But I got to tell you, the first time I saw him was in Brian's Song when he played Brian Piccolo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like critically acclaimed.
It was. It was. I cried. I cried. Every time I see it, I cry.
You can't help it.
No.
You have to cry. He was so great in so many things. I was always happy to see him, honestly. Even in Mickey Blue Eyes, I was happy to see him.
Right.
Though one of my favorite roles of his was a quickie. It was in 2014, he guest starred on an episode of Hawaii Five-0, where his son, Scott Caan, played Dano.
Right.
And he played a retired cop, and he was busting Dano and McGarrett's chops all over the place. And it was just so fun to see him in that role. It was so fun.
That's great.
Yeah. So that's my favorite. And as a matter of fact, I just seen that episode of Hawaii Five-0, I would say maybe a week ago.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. James Caan's been on my radar for the past couple of weeks. So
wow. How about
that?
Yeah. Well,
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry he's gone. I thought for sure we get another 10 out of him. But
yeah. What are you going to do? But our condolences.
Absolutely. Since we are doing X, I think it would be remiss to leave out Xbox.
Do you have one?
I have one.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. So you can speak firsthand knowledge on this.
Yes.
I do not have one.
Have you ever played any console games?
I played Atari.
I knew it. I knew you were going to say Atari.
I was good at Space Invaders, let me tell you. I was really good at that. Yeah.
I have a retro Atari.
Do you?
Yeah, it's not as good as the Atari was. Yeah. But it's still fun.
Okay. All right. So what's going on with Xbox?
So Xbox,
I know it's huge.
I've had multiple Xboxes and lost multiple Xboxes. And a couple of years ago, I went on a hunt to get an Xbox 360 because that console, you don't need the internet to play. All the new ones now, you have to hook it up to the internet to play the games and stuff.
Yeah.
You can with the Xbox 360, but you don't need one. And one of my favorite games is on the Xbox, which is Fallout. And Fallout and Fallout New Vegas are my favorite. They are so complicated. If I hadn't had a tutor originally teaching me how to play these games, I wouldn't be able to play it right now because I don't have the time to be able to sit and devote the hours needed to learn how to play these games really well. But even still, I can lose like 5 or 6 hours like in a snap playing these games. You can get sucked right in. Oh my God. You just spend hours and hours playing these games. And we had talked about X-Men, and I had on a PlayStation, I think it was PlayStation 2, I had an X-Men fighting game, and I used to play that all the time when I lived in California. But now I pretty much only spend my time playing Fallout, and I even have the books and everything. I mean, they're so complicated, these games, but they're really fun. They're first-person shoot-'em-up games. And it's like a post-apocalyptic United States. And so, so there's nuclear fallout.
There you go.
And
hence the title. I got it now.
So you're like traversing. In the first one, it's really like the Washington, D.C. area.
Yeah, of course.
And the next one, New Vegas is obviously Vegas, but it's very interesting. And I mean, there's like zombies and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like a lot of fun. You know.
Yeah. Wow.
I
Hours,
know.
huh? Hours.
Oh,
Yet another thing to do. You know?
hours. Not so much anymore,
Oh, I'm
obviously.
sure
I
you
don't play
can't.
this anymore.
Not with a
But
kid. No.
I mean, but I do play it, and it's really cool because little guy will sit next to me, and I'm like, "Don't look," because whenever like a zombie or something, they look gross and stuff. I'm like, "Don't look," you know. But he'll sit there and he'll play his Kindle or whatever, and I'm playing
Oh,
my,
good.
you know,
Good.
my games, and
Yeah.
yeah, we're nerds in this house. Sorry,
Hey,
you know.
that's all right. This past week on Sirius XM was Ringo Starr week for his 82nd birthday.
No kidding.
All week it was excellent. Yeah.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, it was nice to hear that, you know, he got mentioned on all the channels too. It was great.
Excellent.
It was great. All the music channels, I should say. So ready to wrap?
Yes.
We appreciate you listening. With that, peace and love, everybody. We're out of here.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next week.